So this pricky podcaster was warned this would happen.
1 year before Shannon Sharpe was sued for violent
Yes,
sexual
title.
assault, he was warned by one of his podcast
Is
guests
it Lekkers in Park?
to stop pursuing
Right.
girls that were 30 years younger than him.
You're trying to hang out with these young and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it.
Even Lil Yachty was apprehensive of Shannon's mentality towards
And just laughing.
younger women.
Y'all get to a certain age and you still like them young. You like
Yeah.
You like the same age girls I like. You know
Okay,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
right.
When you get to a certain age,
I'm getting old, but my eyesight's still young.
Shannon, who is 56 years old, never shied away from letting everyone know
Yeah, just like Leonardo.
that he was interested in women who were younger than his daughters.
Everybody always talk about date your age. Well, I want to date my wage.
To no surprise, Shannon's reckless behavior got him in some major legal trouble, as he is now being sued for $50 million by a 19-year-old who claims that he R-worded her, and the evidence against him does not look good. However, there are some suspicious details surrounding this case that have people wondering if it could be a setup. The lawyer that is representing the victim was the same one who took down Diddy, attempted to take down Jay-Z for crimes, as well as the fact that Shannon Sharpe was just about to sign a deal that would secure him generational wealth. And somehow, these aren't even the craziest conspiracies, which has resulted in Shannon receiving a ton of support from fans, letting them know that they are on his side. Today we are going to clearly break
Me, of course, parents will be on his side.
down the entire story, the evidence Shannon provided to defend himself, as well as the possible conspiracies surrounding the case of Shannon Sharpe versus OF model Gabriella Zuniga. Celebrities have been using their fame to cover up bad behavior for decades, but at the same time, being famous also makes you a target. When you've got money and a platform, there's always going to be someone looking to take advantage of that. And while every situation should be looked into
Yeah, there's also like tons of allegations on Conor McGregor too.
carefully, once the allegations start stacking up, it gets hard to tell if this is an obvious pattern of bad behavior or people looking for a payday. In light of the new allegations, countless media outlets resurfaced a 2010 restraining order that Shannon Sharpe's ex-girlfriend filed when she accused him of R-wording her, then threatening her if she ever told anyone. Michelle Bundy Evans met Shannon Sharpe while working as a TV sports reporter in 2002. We met in the press room at the Broncos in April of 2002, but we didn't start dating until we met at the Club Blue 67 in Denver. He started pursuing me heavily. I resisted for a while because I was a reporter and I didn't want to mix the two, but he's very charming. At that point, Shannon was near the end of his football career. He spent 14 seasons in the league, mostly with the Denver Broncos, where he helped deliver back-to-back Super Bowl wins in the late 90s. Then he got a third championship with the Baltimore Ravens in 2000. But Shannon's legacy did not stop on the field. He had something else that made him great: natural charisma, which made it easy for him to eventually transition into sports broadcasting. Michelle said that her and Shannon had a relatively open relationship and were constantly crossing paths in the workplace since they worked in the same industry. She says they dated for a decade until 2010 when it all came crashing down. Problems arose when Shannon told Michelle to separate from a man who later became her husband.
The argument was about the fact that he had removed one girl from his house and put another girl in his house and didn't tell me. He had asked me to break up with my husband at the time. We were just dating, so I was dating Shannon and my husband at the same time. I was like, wait a minute, you want me to be with just you, but you want to move somebody into your house and not even tell me?
What?
So that's what it stemmed from. He's not a faithful person, so I wasn't going to be faithful to a non-faithful person. It just doesn't work that way. Not for me anyway. It was biggest argument.
So he does it, or she does it too?
He was domineering. He was manhandling me, and he wanted. I told him no. I told him no because you gave it to somebody else. I didn't only tell him no, I told him why. He wouldn't take no for an answer.
The reporter then asked Michelle a question that many victims get when they choose not to go to the police immediately.
Why didn't you file a police report when?
Because I was scared for my life. He said he would use it. Everybody he knows, and he knows lots of police officers. So I didn't know that if I went down there, that would be one of the people that he knows.
Michelle claimed that Shannon continuously threatened her. He said he was going to destroy me, and he was going told me he was watching me. In fear, Michelle filed a temporary restraining order against him, which forced him to step away from his role on CBS's NFL Today.
CBS sports analyst and former NFL tight end Shannon Sharpe took a, quote, leave of absence after accusations surfaced that he had allegedly raped and threatened women. According to legal documents obtained by Sports by Brooks, Sharpe's accuser claimed that the renowned tight end, quote, forced her to have him, threatens her life, and, quote, places her under surveillance and calls to say he is watching her.
It's not
After
a
Sharpe
good look,
took a
bro.
leave of absence, Michelle claims that a strange man showed up to her door and intimidated her, so she dropped the restraining order. Shannon returned to CBS after the restraining order was dismissed and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame 1 year later. It's important to consider that the information you just learned about this lawsuit was relatively unknown in 2010. It's much more common for controversies, allegations, and lawsuits to get swept under the rug because there weren't as many people online demanding justice and holding alleged perpetrators accountable. Shannon weathered the storm, stayed quiet, and it just kind of went away for 13 years until Michelle filed another lawsuit against Shannon in 2023 alleging defamation, libel, slander, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Evans claimed that Shannon has repeatedly referenced their legal disputes on television and other public platforms, which she says has caused significant harm to her reputation. However, I could not find anything that proves that Shannon has talked about her on television. Michelle's lawsuit in 2023 got even less attention from the media than the 2010 restraining order. Therefore, this interview with The Sun is Michelle's third attempt to get justice for the R word that she claims occurred. And finally, after 15 years, Shannon's counsel has responded to Michelle. It should be of no surprise that when someone famous is in the news, all sorts of people crawl out of the woodwork to share their connection to that person in an attempt to profit from that alleged relationship. This is exactly what is happening to Shannon Sharpe, and the resurrection of the case involving Michelle Evans is a perfect example. Sadly, Miss Evans became obsessed with Shannon and decided to manufacture a claim against him. When she could not find a lawyer to pursue her outrageous story, she filed a civil complaint
It's like he said, she said.
on her own that is completely devoid of
Yeah, she should have done it at that time.
merit. The fact is that Shannon has had no contact with this person for many years, and it is our understanding that she is still on probation after serving 3 years in prison for trying to husband so that she could hopefully pursue a relationship with Shannon. As far as I can tell, Michelle is no longer pursuing Shannon legally, but media outlets are getting her side of this story today to either 1, exploit the situation for profit, or 2, report on a potential victim whose story was swept under the rug for 15 years. There was also another assault allegation brought up against Shannon that was allegedly kept quiet for many years. Ryan Glasspiegel of FrontOfficeSports.com put out a report
There's like multiple reports
that accused
on
Shannon
this guy's scope, huh?
of being a female production assistant in the workplace during his time at Fox Sports. Glasspiegel used 2 different sources in support of his accusations, saying that one source said Sharpe and Fox settled with the accuser for several $1,000s. No lawsuit was filed. However, a representative for Sharpe came forward and denied any prior altercation. There was no incident of involving Shannon on the FS1 set. On one occasion, he and a few colleagues were involved in some light physical interaction in a playful context. Fox Sports later chose to resolve the matter privately. Although they claimed it wasn't serious, it does seem there is some truth here, or else they would have outright denied nothing happened whatsoever. But this is common whenever a celebrity is under fire. Allegations arise from their past where all of a sudden anonymous sources start remembering bad behavior, and whether they are true or not, there is no doubt that Michelle's story and others are receiving attention because of the most recent lawsuit between Shannon Sharpe and Jane Doe, whose real name was later revealed to be Gabriella Zuniga, an OnlyFans model that filed a $50 million civil lawsuit against Sharpe, accusing him of slavery. Now, almost all of the information regarding this lawsuit was released to the public in the matter of like 48 hours, and all of it was extremely disorganized, out of context, and confusing, truthfully, for the betterment of both parties. So I'm going to do my best to puzzle piece this together in chronological order because I believe dates are extremely important to consider here. According to her lawsuit, the two met in 2023 at a gym in Los Angeles. Gabriella claimed that Sharpe had been watching her during workout Scouts and eventually approached her. At the time, she said she was just 19 and didn't even know who he was, just that he was another older man paying a little too much attention at the gym. She said that after
I mean, she's an adult, so...
repeatedly asking, he convinced her to give him her phone number. Over the next few weeks, Shannonsharpe allegedly pursued Gabriella relentlessly. According to her, he kept approaching her at the gym and repeatedly calling and texting her, asking to meet up. She says he didn't take no for an answer, and eventually she agreed to see him outside the gym. But before they met in person, Shannon reportedly insisted she sign a non-disclosure agreement. Gabby found that off-putting and
What?
even
NDA for what?
after he kept pushing. He eventually dropped it and invited her to his house. However, Shannon and his legal team released text messages that seem to contradict Gabby's claims of how she felt towards him in 2023. In March of
So
2023,
she just goes to his house without knowing him
which
well?
is just 2 months after they met, Gabby sent him a message with an image of a woman wearing bondage ropes with the words, "Tie me up like this and F me," to which Shannon replies, "If I knew how to, I would." She said, "It's okay, I have handcuffs. We can stick to those for now." They went back and forth exchanging kinky messages when she referred back to the photo of the woman tied up and said, "I want to be in that position right now," to which he replied, "It's too late right now." This message was sent at 11 p.m. Shannon was likely tired and getting ready to go to sleep, but it seems like the 19-year-old Gabby was in the mood. Ironically, this is exactly what Monique said would happen to Shannon.
When they want you to go for the 4th round, you looking at her like, listen, I need you want some money to go to Starbucks because I can't go no further. But if you get your older girl, when you get to that 4th round, she's gonna say, hold on, let me go get you some eggs and cheese and some toast with apple butter.
And I know that's supposed to be funny, but that's actually prophetic. It's wild. Another text message from late 2023 was released where Gabby wrote, "I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're effing me." The two also talked about
This is getting tricky, huh?
desire to have a baby with Shannon, including her allegedly writing, "Only if you put that baby gravy in me, then you can do whatever you want
What the hell
to me.
is that?
And I literally ate so much food, I look like I'm with your big black baby." Sharpe responded, "If I still F with you around my birthday in 24, you can IUD out." Essentially saying if they are still together in 7 months from when this message was sent, then she could stop taking her birth control and they will have a child together. To which she replied, "LOL, you're stuck with me for life. You're not going anywhere, babe." Reminder that Gabby claims in her lawsuit that around this time their relationship was rocky and on and off. She says everything was always on his terms, when they saw each other, how often, and what their relationship looked like. At first, he could be sweet and affectionate, but over time, she says his behavior changed. He became more dishonest and emotionally volatile. However, Shannon's evidence shows that they were both constantly sharing freaky messages.
Then she says, "I want to put my tongue in then marry you." She was using her tongue like a bidet. She was a serial booty eater, a fecal matter muncher.
Gabby said she wanted some, quote, hardcore BDSM action. Shannon replied, matching her energy.
And Shannon says, "That's chocolate daddies. That's chocolate daddies slash I'm the only one f***ing that and getting his ass ate." We all knew, come on, we all knew Shannon was into.
Gabby continuously brought up the idea of having a child, writing texts that said, "I can't wait to have a black baby." Shannon replied, "I want to F. If I was 38, I would definitely impregnate you." As she continued to press the conversation about having a baby, Shannon said, "Gabby, you and I both know you don't want a baby." She replied, "You're the one that has a breeding kink, and I mean, I only want a baby if it's from you. I think I'd be a good mom." She continued, "I've always wanted a black baby. I want you to put a
What is this message, bro?
big black baby inside me." There are droves more text messages released where Gabby brought up the fact that she wanted a baby. Some people interpret this as nothing more than kinky talk. Some think it is a weird fetish or entrapment trying
is it money, so?
to be set for life off of Shannon's money, and others see this as a young girl who actually desperately wants to have a child with a man who simply wants This is where Gabby claims in her lawsuit that a shift happened in their relationship. He lied about other women but still insisted they were exclusive. She claims he manipulated her, flipping between charm and aggression to get what he wanted. Around summer of 2024, Gabby claims there was a violent, aggressive, and controlling nature Shannon had that she could not escape. She describes multiple instances where he had his way with her without her explicit consent, then controlling her life, demanding where she needed to be and when. He accused her of disrespecting him, wasting his time, and warned that if she wanted to be with the Shannon Sharpe, she would have to learn obedience. Over the next year and a half, plaintiffs saw Sharpe at his house as often as 4 times a week. Sharpe continued to treat her like an object. He continued to control her, not just physically, but emotionally and psychologically. Gabby started sending her friends her location for her safety, and when Shannon noticed, he allegedly grabbed her by the neck and told her, "If you ever do that again, I will F you." However, text messages revealed from Shannon's team that correspond to this timeline have Gabby allegedly saying, "I want to be daddy," and also sent another
Okay, this is not a good look at that
BDSM
time.
photo and said, "I want you to tie me up like this and daddy." Shannon moved to Las Vegas. Gabby also decided to move to Las Vegas, which some people thought was strange if she claimed that she was afraid of him, but then moved to the exact same city. She says this is when the abuse got much worse, specifically around the time that Shannon
Yeah, why is he going with them?
accidentally went live on Instagram during a encounter with a different woman. In September of 2024, Shannon Sharpe accidentally broadcasted an intimate moment with a woman. Thousands of viewers tuned in to an unexpected Instagram live that featured audio of Shannon having intercourse with an unidentified woman. The screen indicates that the phone was just kind of resting on a table or on the bed, but the audio of Shannon breathing heavily and dirty talking was enough to tell what was going on. Also, what made this a little confusing was he mentioned the woman's name in this IG live. He said Michelle, but it was not the same Michelle that filed the restraining order in 2010. The moment was extremely viral, with most people just making fun of Uncle Shannon, and at first, Sharpe tried to claim his account had been hacked. However, he called ESPN to tell them the truth. "My phone wasn't hacked, it wasn't a prank, it was me being a healthy, active male." He later came clean on
So he did it intentionally?
Cat podcast, admitting the whole thing was an honest mistake.
I'm extremely embarrassed that a very, very private, intimate situation, the audio couldn't be heard. And I'm extremely disappointed in myself.
Bro, it's a video. What do you think?
5 minutes before I came on, phone rings. It's Cat Williams. So I said, yeah, bro, what's up? The first thing out of his mouth, guess what he said, Ocho?
Wow.
You ain't gay today?
However, based on text messages that Shannon revealed, Gabby was extremely upset with the situation. "When I'm 152 pounds but you can't touch me because you cheated on me on Instagram Live. I'm gonna be 180 soon and you're still not gonna be able to touch me. I bet you regret your actions right about now." These text messages make it seem like Gabby thought they were exclusively in a relationship. Shannon did not give a formal reply in texts. Gabby then said, "When you give me a formal apology for cheating on me on Instagram Live and multiple other times, then we can talk." She writes, "Formal apology," in all caps. Shannon replies, "I've said sorry, Gabby." However, this is where things start to look really bad for Shannon. In her lawsuit on October 6, 2024, she says he confronted her at a gym in Nevada, visibly angry, and threatened her. "Sit the F down or I'm going to you," he reportedly said. When she tried to walk away, he told her she didn't have a choice. She told him clearly that she didn't want to speak, didn't want to be alone with him, and didn't want him coming to her home. Despite that, she says he forced her into his car and brought her back to her apartment. Once inside, he allegedly ignored her attempts to keep the conversation in the living room. He insisted on going to the bedroom. She said no, but he wouldn't listen. That's where she says he SA'd her, ignoring her tears and pleas. At one point, he reportedly said, "You've disrespected me so much, I'm going to punish this a-hole. I'm going to make it so no man will want you again." She says he R-worded her while she sobbed, and during the he told her the experience gave him chills. Now, the next text messages Shannon released weren't until December 26th, almost 3 months after this. assault. We don't know how much or if any communication was had in between them. Gabby says, "I'm not answering your calls until you say sorry, Shannon." She says, "All you say is I'm sorry, but you never say what you are sorry for. How you gonna make it right?" She continues, "So I would appreciate if you could do that, cause you really hurt me." She continuously makes it clear that she wants an apology, to which Shannon replies, "Gabby, I'm not going through this again. Stop playing childish games." Now we don't know if Gabby was demanding an apology for this assault that she said
this lacks a huge context.
that happened or something else, because this was 3 months later. But then things get even more strange when New Year's of 2025 comes around. Shannon texted her and said, "Happy New Year, Gabby. Can't wait to see what 2025 has in store for us." Gabby replies, "Give me $50,000 and I will let you come over to the house," and then sends him her
TK เพราะ what
PayPal link. He said, "I don't have cash apps." She said, "Then what do you have?" And he says, "I have 10K cash." Gabby replies, "Send me a picture or FaceTime me with it." It seems like Shannon did not oblige to her orders, so she texted again. "What's taking so long? You either have the cash to show me right now or you're with Michelle. Which one is it, Shannon?" She sends another message with a picture of, "I know you miss this big juicy $25K for each cheek." We do not know if Shannon paid the money, but they did see each other within 24 hours of this message. In her lawsuit, on January 2nd, 2025, Shannon told her he wanted to see her and remind her about a promised Christmas and birthday gift. Eventually, she agreed to let him visit her apartment, but once he arrived, things quickly turned. He began undressing and she asked him to wear a condom, hoping it might stop what was happening. According to her, Shannon refused. The more she begged him to stop or use protection, the more aggressive he became. She says he forced himself on her again, ignoring her pleas the entire time. The last text messages that were released are from that January 2nd, 2025 night, which was the night of the alleged assault. Gabby said, "I cried when you left because I begged you to put a condom on and not to put it in my A, and you didn't listen. I don't care what our history is. No means no, Shannon. I don't know how to process this." In response to the lawsuit, Shannon Sharpe publicly denied all allegations through a statement released by his attorney. Mr. Sharpe categorically denied
Just like 2 times, 3 times now. She's just lip, bruh.
all allegations of coercion or misconduct, the statement read. His lawyer, Lanny J. Davis, went further, calling the lawsuit full of lies, distortions, and misrepresentations, and claimed it would not hold up in court. Shannon's lawyer wrote, "These messages are just a sampling of a broader pattern of graphic sexual communications initiated by the plaintiff." Davis said, "The evidence paints a clear picture. This was a consensual adult relationship that included role-playing, language, and fantasy scenarios explicitly
I'm not sure about the last 2 parts.
requested by the plaintiff." Shannon also made another public announcement denying all accusations, but instead of typing it himself, it seems like he screenshotted a text message that was sent to him, indicating that it was someone else who wrote the response. It seemed like no matter how Shannon responded, it didn't exactly make him look better. And although the text messages that he released do provide a little more context, they don't exactly make him look better either. It does seem that they had a consensual relationship before the initial October 6th, 2024. But the lawsuit mostly focuses on the fact that their dynamic changed after the IG Live leak in September of 2024, which Gabby deemed as Shannon cheating on her. Honestly, Shannon's text messages that he released kinda help her narrative, because what we have, according to the text messages that he released, are seemingly a consensual back and forth for about a year and a half, up until the IG Live leak, which is where everything changed. That's also pretty much what Gabby said in the lawsuit, and that October 6, 2024 date where she says there was a violent assault is really where everything changed. And again, the texts also kind of prove that. After all, just because a relationship was previously consensual doesn't mean it always is. Now, we don't know if Shannon cherry-picked text messages that make her look worse than him,
I mean, obviously,
or if they would actually go months without texting, because we went through almost all of the messages over the course of 2 years, which realistically were not that many texts. but we can only base our opinions on what was revealed. But knowing the dates of those text messages does kinda help, because if she claimed she feared for her life, then sent an erotic message after, that doesn't really make sense. For example, audio was released of her and Shannon's phone conversation, and without context or dates, it sounds horrible.
I don't know. Anything I say, you're just gonna like get mad at, and you're just gonna hang up on me. So I feel like
I'm not gonna hang up on you. Here's what it is.
what? What does that even mean?
You want to be a to me now, so.
I don't want to be. Don't manipulate me.
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you say that one more time, I'm gonna choke the shit out of you when I see you.
Well, I don't.
You know what?
Well, I don't want to be choked.
Yes, you do.
You're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Why is she sensual now?
Okay, what?
Yeah, it's just getting weird.
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah. I might choke you in public. Big black guy choke small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you do what you did to me.
Why is she doing ASMR now? What?
Dates are important here because if this was before summer of 2024, then some people believe this is just more dirty talk and role-playing now being taken out of context, especially the way he says big black guy chokes small white woman. It just seems like an ironic or non-intimidating way to describe that situation. Then again, some look at this as her clearly expressing multiple times that she does not want this, which should have been a signal for him to stop. But where
so this is.
everything does get
I think she wants it.
weird is her demanding money around New Year's of 2025. By this point, she claims to have been assaulted seemingly countless times and is demanding to be paid. This is what makes people think that this is a shakedown, and of course has been a basis of Shannon's legal defense. Then again, Shannon's defense made a horrible decision in revealing that they almost settled out of court before anyone knew about this situation. Sharpe's lawyer revealed that
That is a bad look,
he had
bruh.
offered Gabby at least $10 million to settle things privately before the case became public. According to his attorney, Gabriella initially seemed open to the deal, but then, without warning, walked away from our offer. Davis said it was a big surprise to us when suddenly this case was filed without any advanced warning. Many people questioned why Shannon would even offer a settlement that large if he was innocent. Now, legally, settling a lawsuit does not mean a person is admitting guilt. In fact, most settlements
Yeah,
include
they seem suspicious.
language that explicitly states the parties are not admitting to any wrongdoing. For many, settling is a way to avoid the stress, time, and massive costs of going to trial. In high-profile cases like this one, it can also be a strategy to avoid media attention and protect reputations. For
Yeah, she actually turned down like 10 million. So.
celebrities, sometimes settling just feels like the faster, cleaner option if they believe they did nothing wrong. But in the court of public opinion, people strongly felt that Shannon essentially admitted guilt when he offered her $10 million. Then again, others questioned why Gabby did not take the $10 million. This is the girl that demanded $25K per cheek. Surely $10 million would have been plenty of money, right? And that's when conspiracies arose that potentially this is a much bigger attack on Shannon. Shannon was on the verge of signing a new podcast contract worth over $100 million. That kind of money would have made him one of the highest paid personalities in sports media. It felt like the next big step in his career. Additionally, Gabby's legal representation is led by Tony Busby, who filed a lawsuit on behalf of a woman accusing Diddy of Additionally, in late 2024, Tony Busby filed a civil lawsuit on behalf of a woman, identified as Jane Doe, accusing Jay-Z and Diddy of R-wording her at a 2000 MTV Video Music Awards after-party when she was 13 years old. Jay-Z vehemently denied the allegations,
13-year-old is crazy.
calling them a blackmail attempt. In February of 2025, the lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice, meaning it cannot be refiled. Subsequently, Jay-Z filed a defamation lawsuit against Jane Doe and Busby, alleging that the accusations were knowingly false and malicious, aimed at extorting him and causing significant harm to his reputation and business interests.
To my family, friends, supporters, and colleagues, I want to speak to you directly and from the heart. This is a shakedown. I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right. This is all being orchestrated by Tony Busby, who has targeted Jay-Z. Tony Busby targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a sex tape that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself. You know what happened, and you're trying to manipulate the media. The encounter in question took place during the day at her invitation, and now that appears to be a deliberate setup, coordinated by Gabby, also known as Carly on OnlyFans. Gabby and Tony Busby want $50 million. What they're getting is sued for defamation and trying to take me down. My career is all about real talk and honesty. I know my family and friends know exactly what this is about. And I'm going to be out there telling you whatever I need to say, just like I'm
Yeah, why did he want to settle down for 10 million then?
I love all you guys. Thanks.
Many
10 million is a lot of money, bro.
fans believe that a man who was not guilty would demand for an entire tape of his to be released, especially if it made him look bad. Busby told TMZ Sports that he and his client have zero plans right now to put the footage out to the media. The only reason you know about the existence of a video recording is that Mr. Sharpe specifically referenced it in his bullshit statement. Shannon has remained adamant that his relationship with Gabriella was purely a BDSM one, where the two would meet up for rough about once a week and nothing more. Shortly after the case went public, Sharpe announced his decision to temporarily leave ESPN. However, he still remains active working on his personal podcast that he owns. Now people are going back, and a particular clip of Shannon losing control while discussing an OF model, seemingly out of nowhere, has been resurfaced.
You know who Sky Bree is, Ocho?
Sky Bree? Who that is, coach?
Yeah. How I do it.
Hey, Scott, I mean, who is that? Who is that? Help me out.
Yeah, she acting like a child, bro.
You know what I'm saying? She little something. She might be famous for vertical activity that she's good at.
Whose side you are on, I think we can all agree that at the end of the day, Shannon had no business as a 57-year-old messing around with a 19 or 20-year-old. It is his actions that got him in this situation. Now, is he actually guilty of a crime? Well, now that you have the full context, you can make an informed decision on what you think happened. Otherwise, we'll just have to wait for the jury's verdict.